Hi everyone, my name is Miss Cordell and I'm an English teacher here at Heritage High School. I teach 10th and 11th grade English and I am so excited to share with you guys a book that I adore reading and I think is such an amazing story. But first, I just wanted to give you a little introduction to me and how I like reading. So I started out not loving reading when I was in high school. I didn't love to read, but once I got into college and once kind of COVID hit and we had a little bit of a lull in time, I picked up a book and I dove right into it and I just got obsessed with reading and I love to escape into all the books I read now and I just can't put them down. So I love it and I hope you love reading just as much as me, or at least are learning to love it, because I know it's tough right now. But I want to share with a book that I think you might love. So it's called The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, and this is one of my absolute favorite books. It has mystery, it has a thriller aspect, there's a love triangle, and so it's about this girl, Avery Grams, who gets an inheritance of multiple $1 million from a family and a man that she has never met before. And so she goes to this mansion, she gets inherited this huge home, and all the family is so unbelievably upset and they want her dead. They want her dead, and she has no idea who this is, why there's even a connection. There's no family connection at all. So we're trying to figure out what happens to poor Avery and all of her crazy little adventures that goes on with this new family of hers. So I want to read the first chapter to you guys just to share some of it with you. So let's start it out. When I was a kid, my mom constantly invented games. The quiet game, the who can make their cookie last longer game. A perennial favorite, the marshmallow game, involved eating marshmallows while wearing puffy Goodwill jackets indoors to avoid turning on the heat. The flashlight game was what we played when the electricity went out. We never walked anywhere. We raced. The floor was nearly always lava. The primary purpose of pillows was building forts. Our longest lasting game was called I Have a Secret, because my mom said that everyone should always have at least one. Some days she guessed mine, some days she didn't. We played every week right up until I was 15, and one of her secrets landed her in the hospital. The next thing I knew, she was gone. Your move, princess, a gravely voice dragged me back to the present. I don't have all day. Not a princess, I retorted, sliding one of my knights into place. Your move, old man. Harry scowled at me. I didn't know how old he was, really, and I had no idea how he'd come to be homeless and living in the park where we played chess each morning. I did know that he was a formidable opponent. You, he grumbled, eyeing the board, are a horrible person. 3 moves later, I had him. Checkmate. You know what that means, Harry. He gave me a dirty look. I have to let you buy me breakfast. Those were the terms of our long-standing bet. When I won, he couldn't turn down the free meal. To my credit, I only gloated a little. I made it to school on time, but barely. I had a habit of cutting things close. I walked the same tightrope with my grades. How little effort could I put in and still get an A? I wasn't lazy. I was practical. Picking up an extra shift was worth trading a 98 for a 92. I was in the middle of drafting an English paper in Spanish class when I was called to the office. Girls like me were supposed to be invisible. We didn't get summoned for sit-downs with the principal. We made exactly as much trouble as we could afford to make, which in my case was none. Avery, Principal Altman's greeting, was not what one would call warm. Have a seat. I sat. He folded his hands on the desk between us. I assume you know why you're here? Unless this was about the weekly poker game I've been holding in the parking lot to finance Harry's breakfast, and sometimes my own. I had no idea what I'd done to draw the administration's attention. Sorry, I said, trying to sound sufficiently meek, but I don't. Principal Altman let me sit with my response for a moment, then presented me with a stapled packet of paper. This is the physics test you took yesterday. Okay, I said. That was not the response he was looking for, but it was all I had. For once I'd actually studied. I couldn't imagine I'd done badly enough to merit intervention. Mr. Yates graded the tests, Avery. Yours was the only perfect score. Great, I said, in a deliberate effort to keep myself from saying okay again. Not great, young lady. Mr. Yates intentionally creates exams that challenge the abilities of his students. In 20 years, he's never given a perfect score. Do you see the problem? I couldn't quite bite back my instinctive reply. A teacher who designs tests most of his students can't pass? Mr. Altman narrowed his eyes. You're a good student, Avery. Quite good, given your circumstances. But you don't exactly have a history of setting the curve. That was fair, so why did I feel like you'd gut-punched me? I'm not without sympathy for your situation, Principal Altman continued, but I need you to be straight with me here. He locked his eyes onto mine. Were you aware that Mr. Yates keeps copies of all of his exams on the cloud? He thought I'd cheated. He was sitting there, staring me down, and I'd never felt less seen. I'd like to help you, Avery. You've done extremely well given the hand life has dealt you. I would hate to see any plans you might have for the future derailed. Any plans I might have? I repeated. If I'd had a different last name, if I'd had a dad who was a dentist and a mom who stayed home, he wouldn't have acted like the future was something I might have thought about. I'm a junior, I gritted out. I'll graduate next year with at least 2 semesters worth of college credit. My test scores should put me in scholarship contention at UConn, which has one of the top actuarial science programs in the country. Mr. Altman frowned. Actuarial science? Statistical risk assessment. It was the closest I could come to double majoring in poker and math. Besides, it was one of the most employable majors on the planet. Are you a fan of calculated risks, Miss Graham? Like cheating. I couldn't let myself get any angrier. Instead, I pictured myself playing chess. I marked out the moves in my mind. Girls like me didn't get to explode. I didn't cheat, I said calmly. I studied. I'd scraped together time and other classes between shifts later at night than I should have stayed up. Knowing that Mr. Yates was infamous for giving impossible tests had made me want to redefine possible. For once, instead of seeing how close I could cut it, I wanted to see how far I could go. And this was what I got for my effort, because girls like me didn't ace impossible exams. I'll take the test again, I said, trying not to sound furious, or worse, wounded. I'll get the same grade again. And what would you say if I told you that Mr. Yates had prepared a new exam, all new questions, every bit as difficult as the first? I didn't even hesitate. I'll take it. That can be arranged tomorrow during 3rd period, but I have to warn you that this will all be significantly better if you... Now. Mr. Altman stared at me. Excuse me? Forget sounding meek. Forget being invisible. I want to take the now exam right here, in your office, right now. All right, so that's our first chapter. I hope you guys enjoyed. I get so much better. We have crazy mysteries, crazy twists and turns. We have a whole bunch of new characters that get introduced, and I know that you guys will love it. So if you ever want to talk about the book or want to know where to find it, come stop by my classroom, and I am more than happy to tell you. Have a great day, guys.